Hello geezers, welcome to Geezer Golf, a brand new YouTube channel devoted entirely to senior golfers ages 55 and older. This is episode 1 and we're talking about golf shafts. My name is Mike Perkey and I'm your host, and I'm here with John Gamble of John Gamble's Carolina Golf, who's been club fitting and club repairing for more years than either of us care to think about. There are a number of PGA Tour players who live in the Charlotte area, and they entrust their clubs to John when they're not on the road playing the tour. What we're going to talk about this morning is shafts and when to change shafts and what to look for. As senior players, we've all lost distance, except for John. He never loses distance. But John, if you got somebody coming into the shop looking for a driver shaft that they might think they're slowing down a little bit, and what kind of questions do you ask them?
Michael, you're always looking for the player's ability to get the ball airborne, to hit the ball in the middle of the club. If a guy's got a little bit of club head speed or still got some flexibility, you're not trying to force something really flexible on him off the get-go, because he may just need a little bit of help. Some players, when they come in here, you can see there's flexibility, there's lack of club head speed. You're going to have to work with a lighter shaft. You're going to have to work with a lower kick point shaft for the most part to create launch angle. I think that's a lot of times what you're trying to do. Most guys aren't spinning the ball dramatically, so the ball's not moving a lot from side to side. So you're trying to create, launch with the shaft. You're trying to create something that'll stay in the air a little longer, and that's done through obviously loft of the club and the golf shaft. The next thing I think you're trying to ascertain is the player got enough load or enough transition or not enough load or transition to be able to hit a what I would say is a mid-weight shaft. The guy that maybe the player who's really struggling for distance, you're going down the weight. You're trying to create things again to get the club head speed up. You're always looking with the weight of the shaft to create some club head speed.
Now, I've seen driver shafts go as low as 45 grams. What's a typical weight of a driver shaft, and what weight options do you have if you want to go down in weight?
A typical weight of a driver shaft in an OEM club like a Sim driver or a Ping driver now is 55 to 60 grams. That seems to be the sweet spot to fit most players. When you go into these, the 40-gram shaft, you're inherently making the shaft softer. You've got less material in the shaft. It's gonna have a little more feel. It's gonna kick a little lower. It's just difficult to make a really super stable, strong shaft in a lightweight shaft. You're not trying to do that. You're trying to create something that's got a little action in the bottom. That's going to create launch, create a little more carry. That really is a big deal. It's a big thing for a lot of guys, because it gives them a little bit more, and it gives them a little bit more feel. Now, on the other hand, you may have some players who still have got a little bit of zip in their swing, and they grab this thing that's 40 grams, and it's just hard. It's so light, can't find they can't find it. It's too light. They can't really get a feel for where the club head is, and their timing is not so great. So that's the tipping point. The player that has still got some club head speed, he just not gonna, he is the guy that's not gonna, you know, have success with that really, really light shaft. Just never can find the club face. You know, that, unfortunately, club head speed is only one variable that determines how far the ball goes. There's a lot of other stuff that plays into it. You know, your center face contact, square contact, path, all, you know, angle of attack. Mike, that's a big deal. You know, a lot of, you know, a lot of guys are not tour players that can't set up a certain way, can't create width in their swing, can't create that long, shallow, slightly up angle of attack. They're going to be a little bit on the descent. You know, that's where you got that little bit of extra kick at the bottom or more loft in the driver can help them. You know, you'd love to be able to sit here and help them set up differently and create. And that's one thing you really try to do is whatever you can do to create some things in impact that are going to produce better shots. You try to work that into the club too. You don't also, but some guys physically can't do it. They're just not going to be able to sit up. They're going to be a little steep, and you just got to create most of the time a drive with more loft, probably a shorter driver to get solid contact along with club head speed.
So if I'm having trouble with my driver getting the ball in the air, am I a candidate for a softer shaft?
You're a candidate for more loft. I know that's not a profound thing to say. Softer shaft, lighter shaft is almost is going to create a, you know, yes, you are create a little more launch angle most of the time for most players. You are. And again, if you don't have club head speed, you're not going to have massive spin. You're going to have launch. So you need that through either a lighter, more active tip shaft or more loft in the driver.
Is it necessarily true, you know, we're all chasing distance, everybody, you know, from teenagers on up us geezers, everybody's chasing distance, whether that's good or bad. Does a softer, lighter shaft necessarily mean more distance if you're not catching the ball in the middle of the club face?
No, absolutely not. Now, lighter shaft theoretically gives you more club head speed. I mean, this could be debated, but I think you've got a device that swings the club. If the club is lighter, that device is going to swing it faster. Well, the human body or the human mind gets in the way of it. When the guy can't really get a feel for where the club is, sometimes his timing is off. The actual club may not be speeding up through impact, but theoretically, when that object is lighter, you can swing it faster. Now, when you combine, what you've got to do is combine that club head speed with the ability to get center contact. That's a big deal. A lot of guys, to me, what I see in here and what I see on the golf course, you're right in the trenches, you play with the guys all the time. I see guys fighting for that distance. They lose their balance, they overswing, they're never grounded or setting a good base through impact, and they're trying tension in the arms. A lot of things fall into. They're trying so hard with what they've got. That to me is a telltale sign. Let's try lighter and more flexible, so you don't have to feel like you got to force it. If you feel like you're, in the golf swing, if you've got tension to build up and you're not on balance through impact, you're not going to make solid contact. All the club head speed in the world is not going to fix you. However, again, lighter gives you that one variable. You just have to start putting the pieces together to get a better result. I like lighter. You just got to be able to see a guy that's maybe got a little bit of ability, not ability, but a little bit of flexibility or talent, whatever you want to call that. That's a bad word. You don't want to pinhole anybody into that category, but does this guy have a good enough transition? Can he hold his angles better? That's the guy you don't really want to maybe overdo it. You want to really dial into that launch and spin category to see if he can get the most out of the driver. And if you overdo it with weight and you overdo it with flex, that player, is not going to like the feel of the club.
Let's talk about iron shafts. Back when we started playing, about the only shaft there was the dynamic gold. We all played dynamic gold, and then Ping came along. Ping came along with their lightweight shafts, but they were so stiff they could jack up the side of this building. And I hit those shafts for a long time and got tendonitis in my elbow, and then I added weight to the heads, and the tendonitis went away. I think Karsten Solheim was of the opinion that you ought to swing the stiffest shaft you can handle in order to hit it straighter with perimeter weighted clubs. But we've got so many more shaft options now than we ever had. There's steel, there's lightweight steel, and there's improved graphite in irons. We wouldn't hit graphite in irons for a long time because of the dispersion factor that graphite shafts and irons have. They're a lot better today. If I come in today and say I want to talk about my iron shafts, how far do I need to hit my 7-iron for that to be kind of a tipping point?
I think, Mike, I wouldn't go quite to the distance on the 7-iron, because it starts. People want to know, am I going to hit that graphite shaft? If I can hit it further with that graphite, that's what I want. I got to have graphite if I'm going to hit it further. Well, I think most research has shown graphite absorbs the blow. Graphite is a dampening factor that is measurable, and it helps absorb shock. It helps with your wrists, elbows, whatever issues you may have. It helps. It helps you play pain-free. It helps you play longer. Does it inherently, gets back to what we just talked about, does it inherently give you more distance? It's lighter, swing it faster. Doesn't always show up you get more distance, but it doesn't necessarily hurt. I think with a lot of guys, they find that graphite is not as stable as steel. It is easier on your body. You may get more distance, you may not. So I wouldn't say, I wouldn't hold a guy that he's got to hit a 7-iron 100 and less than 140 yards before I would get him a graphite shaft. Now again, some guys, as they get older, you need a lot. It's easier to create a little more tip action, lighter weight with graphite. You've got an opportunity to create a little more launch, create a little more carry on that ball. Again, the variable, how the player can compress the golf ball, swing the club, it gets back to talent with an iron. Mike, there's a lot less irons in play. The thing now is to build in that 7-wood, 9-wood hybrid right up through. You can see it with the TaylorMade's has a 7 hybrid with interject into the sets now. The graphite inherently will get more club head speed. Is it going to give you more distance? I wouldn't want to be the one to guarantee that. It is going to help you play longer, help you play more pain-free, help you practice a little bit more. You may be able to get a little more practice in going with graphite. I mean, that to me is more the key than just saying, is that the distance producer? The distance producer, you can see with clubs now, is let's strengthen these clubs up. Let's create this set where that pitching wedge is 42 degrees or 43 or whatever it is. Let's create. That's where you can guarantee the guy's going to hit his pitching wedge further. You can't guarantee it with the graphite. You can guarantee he's going to get a little help with his joints. Can't guarantee it's going to go further. So everybody is working into that stronger loft and putting that pitching wedge, that W on the 9-iron, and some other things too. There's technology in it too, but that's the thing that assures it. That you can advertise when you start changing the numbers on the clubs.
Who's a candidate for going, say, from a stiff to a regular, from an S300 to an R300?
All right. I've had it shown to me on TrackMan many times, as we lose our flexibility, as we lose our ability to really drive that club on a longer, some things mechanically and club head speed, it becomes, I think, a function of lighter steel. I think lightweight steel for the middle of the road to lower handicap players becomes a viable option. You can see it on the senior. You can see it in a lot of places with good players where graphite doesn't quite provide the stability. So as we need a little more spin to make the ball stay in the air with an iron, you start going to some of these, these products like the ascending mass products, or the Nippon, these 100 gram instead of 125 gram shaft that are still pretty stable. They offer good stability. You're going to, I've had it absolutely shown to me with 85-mile-an-hour club head speed with an iron. You create a little better launch, a little more spin. Balls, you got 5 or 6 more yards, which is that's a big
big deal in that. Yeah.
With that middle, that 55, 60-year-old club head speed where you just will not get quite the heavier shaft. Just you lose that couple of miles an hour, the ability to create spin on the ball that you need with an iron to dynamically get it to stay in the air better.
Well,
so,
I'm hitting a set of Dynamic Gold 105s
right.
in my irons, whereas I'd been playing KBS Tour shafts that were 120 grams.
Yep, 120, 125, right.
It makes it, for me, it's a lot easier to hit. You don't have to fight it as much.
Yep. So you don't quite have the quite as light a weight as graphite, but it hits that middle ground where you get the performance that you're looking for, and it's just you don't fight it as much, and you got a lot more forgiveness. You really do have you do have a little help when you get to that 4 or 5 iron that has become, we don't even discuss a 3 iron anymore.
Except for fireplace poker.
Right. That ship sailed a long time ago.
Well, geezers, that's about all. I will recommend that you come see somebody like John Gamble here in Charlotte, North Carolina, for club fitting and advice and shaft knowledge. Find a club fitter, find a club repair shop, get into the right shafts, and you'll have a whole lot more fun playing golf. Thanks for being with us. Next week we're going to talk about golf balls. Play good.